Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Ameen ya rabbal alameen. So here we are with our session number 260 for Quranic Arabic grammar, in which we are going to learn today Ajwaf, which is a fail that has waw and ya as its ainul kalima, or the second root letter. Before we go on to learn Ajwaf, I will quickly try to complete the review sheet that we were going over in our last session. Alhamdulillah. And we got a lot of it. We were able to cover a lot of it, but I just, want to do few more before I take you to Ajwaf, inshallah. So Tamma was, I hope, is clear to most of you. You have understood how Tamma yutimmu or Atamma yutimmu works, and Tamma by itself, how does it work? You want it larger? Okay, one second. Let me just make it bigger. Okay. So Mutimmun, I think we have, did we cover Mutimmun in our last session? What do you think? Yes, we have covered it. Okay, so we will skip that. Jannah, did we cover Jannah? Yes or no? Okay, so it is also, again, Jannah is your fail madin, right? Something to cover, right? It means to cover, and in this case, which rule is going to be applied? Rule number one is being applied here. Then comes your word ahibba'uhu. So you have this word ahibba'uhu. What does it look like? Abna'ullahi, abna'ullahi, and then it's a plural word. So if you look at this word, what type of a plural you already are typing? It seems to be a broken plural. Now if we have to see the wazn of this fail, if you have to see the wazn of this fail, what do you think? It doesn't, Sister Zarina, you don't agree? Oh, or it was a typo. So af'ila'un. Okay, so af'ila'un it's a possibility for af'ila'un with a tanween. Is the tanween possibility on this type of a plural? What do you think? If a word spells like af'ila'u, fa, ain, lam kalima are before alif mamduda, alif hamza, can this word take tanween? Can this word take tanween? It's a trick question. We are going back to Nahu part. So no, it cannot take tanween. And what will be the reason that this word is not going to be taking a tanween? In this case, you will say that this word has alifu tanisul mamduda. Therefore, this word cannot take tanween. Even if it was not mudaf, even if it was not mudaf, tanween was not a possibility, right? Do you all remember that alifut tanisul mamduda is there? Alifut tanisul mamduda is there. This word cannot accept tanween, right? So now the pattern is right. And now that you know the pattern of ila'u, so what is going to be the case here? Do you want to apply rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Which one should we apply on this one word? We can apply, um, so that there are af'ila'u, two are mutaharik, the two similar are mutaharik. However, they are preceded by a sahi, that is sakin. So there is an nakal, and then there is an idgham. So an nakal wal idgham, it falls under rule number 2. So we are going to apply rule number 2 here. Is everyone going to be able to identify this broken plural from now onwards? I know some of you may not even know the broken plurals, many of the patterns of the broken plural, but this is your chance to learn them, right? In the last session, Alhamdulillah, we were able to do another one, af'ilatun, if you remember that, right? The one that ends with the ta marbuta, one of the lesser plurals, right? Ashukhatun. So make sure that you remember this, take it as an opportunity to go over your some of the broken plural patterns as well, inshallah. Okay, so then when you see tuhibbuna, we already covered it, so let's just skip it. Yuhbibkum, is there any rule applied here? No, there's no rule applied here, so we are going to skip this part for the most part. Uhibbu, I am also going to skip, and we already have covered. Now that I'm seeing this al-haji, we have covered that part as well, right? So in al-haji, or any word with alif after the first root letter, if there is an alif after the first root letter, which rule you are going to apply? Rule number 3. Is this clear to all of you? That if you want to, if I just quickly ask you guys, what will you apply on family 3 and 6? Family 3 and 6, and any word which has alif after the first root letter, and followed by fa'ilun pattern, or if there is something like family 3 or family 6, which rules are going to be applied? You are going to say that there is application of rule number 3, because there will be two mutaharrik preceded by an alif. Any word with an alif, with an alif in it, with an alif before the two similar, you are going to apply rule number 3. So like in case of hajin, al-haji, you applied this rule number 3, right? It was haji jun, on the pattern of fa'ilun, remember? So it was on the pattern of fa'ilun. There was the next alif, two mutaharrik preceded by an alif or a mad letter. It's going to be just an idgham without any nakal, right? And the rule number 3 has an idgham without any nakal, right? So that was that. Hada should be clear. Hassa, tahassasu. In tahassasu, do you see any application of a rule? For tahassasu, this was also, I think, we covered, and now I remember. In case of this one, yeah, hafina. When you have hafina, this one was, I think, we may have, we had to start from here. So now there is an alif that you are seeing, right, on a fa'ilun pattern. If you see something on a fa'ilun pattern, if I ask you what is the pattern of the word, anyone and each and every one of you is able to identify it as a ism file pattern, right? Fa'ilun, there is nothing extra. So if it is fa'ilun pattern, is it coming from family 1 or mazid fihi? That is the next question that I have for you. It is coming from family 1, and this is just some file from family 1. Okay, there is an extra alif followed by the two similar that were mutaharrik. So there is just idgham without any naqal. Okay, so so here when it comes to uhilla, uhilla, what do you think? Uhilla, what is happening in word uhilla? It is application. So you think there's an application of rule number 2, and if I ask you what is the sigha of this word, um, and it has been, if it is no, it was originally ukhlilu, ukhlila, ukhlila, majhul. So it is ukhlila, ukhlila. So then there was a transfer, there was a nakal, and then idgham. So and that is why you are all saying that here we see application of rule number 2. In case of uhillat, like the same thing again, majhul, with tautanis. However, the rule is the same. Bisaddihim, bisaddihim, very important. Bisaddihim, in bisaddihim, it is family 1. Very good job. So just start to think about the siga of the word. If you think about the siga of the word, it is also going to help you with your surf as well. So saddi here is an ism, right? So this is, if the middle letter is sakin, we call that, if there are two similar with the first letter sakin, two similar first letter sakin, there is an application. What about the rest of you? The rest of you cannot see as well, or the word is not visible, that bisaddihim, here, this one, bisaddihim. That voice is cutting, I'm sorry about that. um okay, bisaddihim. So here, think about it. The word got highlighted. Now you are able to, alhamdulillah, see it. So bisaddihim, in here we were seeing which rule got applied. This is an ism because it has been beaten up by ba, and this is an ism where you are seeing an idgham. So now in case of an ism, idgham is only going to be possible. Idgham is only going to be possible the when when the ainul kalima is sakin. When ainul kalima is sakin. Otherwise, there is no possibility for idgham. Remember how we did it? Like sururun, shararun, they're going to be separate. If the ainul kalima is mutaharrik, there will be no idgham, and we have covered that in our very, in the sessions before, alhamdulillah. So let me show you that. Here we have it somewhere. That this idgham rule is going to be applied only in case of afal, but in case of ism, if the second letter is mutaharika, they will be written separately, right? If the middle letter is mutaharik, like sururun is not surrun, it is not, there is not a possibility. However, if I tell you, if it was on a pattern of fu'ulun with ainul kalima sakina without any haraka, will idgham be possible? In that case, when the Ainul Kalima is Sakin, Idgham is possible. Okay, Sharrun, Idgham is possible because Ainul Kalima was not Mutaharik. Okay, remember that. Um, let's come back here. Um, here, غير محلي. So, what are we, muhalli? What are we seeing here? This one. This is coming from family number 4, and the rule being applied here is rule number 2. I was wanting you to hold off, Sister Faiza, so that the rest of the sisters were also able to understand this one, how this happened. This was muhlilun, like your muslimun, right? Like your muslimun. And here it is muhillina, muhlilina, which has become lighter because it is a mudaf for a saidi. So this is a muhlilina, and muhlilina became muhillina, and the rule applied here is which rule? Rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are applying rule number 2, where the two letters were mutaharrik preceded by a letter that was sakin and was a sahih letter. So there is in naqal and then idgham, right? Halaltum, are we seeing anything? Yes, yes, that's correct. So we are not seeing anything. So halaltum is, there is no idgham, there is no rule being applied. To hillu is going to be again rule number 2, your easy one. Yahillu, when you see yahillu, in this case yahlilu, it's going to be rule number 2. Tahillu, right, yeah, again the same thing. Ahalla is family 4. In family 4, which rule gets applied? Rule number 2 gets applied in most of the parts of the family 4. So you're going to just say that there is application of rule number 2, where 2 mutaharik preceded by a sakin, there was a nakal with and then idgham. Wahlul, when you see wahlul in there, in here, there it is mudaf. But is there any application of a rule? Are we applying any rule here? No, we are not applying any rule here. When there is fakku idgham, there is no application of a rule. Is this clear to all of you? When you see fakku idgham, when the words are not written together, you are just going to say that there is no rule applied here. Okay, so not applicable. Yuhillu, yuhilluna, the same thing. Halalan, no rule applied. Tahullu. So am seeing here tahullu, and then you are seeing yahilla. So if you can identify the bab of tahullu, I will be very appreciative of you. So here the hulu is from bab nasara, but when you see yahilla fayahilla, here the bab is bab daraba, right? So there are only going to be um, 3 options, right? For now, you are going to just say that, stick with the 3 options. It's going to be bab nasara, samia, and daraba. So if you are seeing that there is a kasra, you are going to say daraba in mudare. If you see a dhamma, you are going to say nasara, right? So, and if you see a fatha, then you can, just simply say there is Samia clan, right? In case of in your case, in case of your fi'l mudari. In case of yahlil, man yahlil, coming from daraba clan, yadrib. Is there any application of a rule? There is no application of a rule. It's plain and simple. Ahallana. Ahallana. Do you see any application of a rule in word ahallana? Yes, there is an application of a rule, which was rule number 2, because again, our word was from family number 4, right? In family 4, Hamzatul Qata family, you are seeing lots and lots of application of rule number 2. Okay, I'm skipping uhillat since we have already covered this. Now, an interesting one for you. Summa mahal, mahilluha. Mahilluha. So, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind when you see this? There is a think about it. It can it you are not going to go to samia yet, so you just think about the siga of the word first, and then you start to think about anything else. Okay, so you already covered ha lam lam are coming from either daraba and nasara. They are not coming from samia, right? So now look at the siga of the word, and that is the first step, right? Siga of the word is starting with meme fatha. When a word starts with meme fatha, what should you start to think about? Everyone, you start to think about maf'ul and ism zarf, right? Maf'ul or ism zarf. In maf'ul, you will have to you see wow, right? Like mahlulun, right? Mahlulun. But in this case, this is not the case. Doesn't seem to be the case. However, it does seem to be. It can. There is a possibility here. Now, the only possibility when there is no wow is zarf. When there is a zarf, the zarf pattern that you have in here are maf'alun, maf'ilun, maf'alatun. So, is it maf'alun, maf'ilun, maf'alatun? Because of the kasra, you are saying that this is the second option is correct. It is maf'ilun, where ainul kalima was maksur, and this is what has happened in here. And here, this word is maf'ilun. There is a nakal, and then there is an idgham, right? And which rule was applied? Rule number 2 got applied here. Everyone with me? Alhamdulillah. So now this is also an opportunity for all of us to go back to our basic, our basic surf as well, right? Where we need to know what are the surf patterns for zarf in case of family 1, and what are the zarf pattern in case of family in your big families, right? In family 1, things are easy. There is only maf'alun, maf'ilun, maf'alatun. In case of family, big families, you have options, and alhamdulillah, most of you have understood how if there is if al babe if al, what will be there in the zarf. And I hope it is easy for most of you, but just make sure that you review each and everything, okay, while we are doing this practice. There is a word here, yamassuna. I skipped it. Do you all know which rule was applied on word yamassuna? We have covered it very much so in our previous sessions, but just so that you all remember, I'm just asking you again. There was a rule number 2 that got applied. It was yamsasu. Yamsasu was the original form. So there was a transfer, a naqal, and then idgham. In case of hillun, there is an ism. There is an ism. So it is if it is, you are treating it as a masdar. Even if I ask you which rule got applied here, there is rule number 4, as Diba is saying, and rule number 4 has the first of the two identical as a second letter. Therefore, in an ism, idgham is a possibility, right? So now you have tahillata, tahillata. Do you remember tazkirata, right? So does it look like, does it feel like tazkirata? Does it sound like that by any means? So I remember teaching you in family too. I gave you an additional masadir as well. One of the books I had, it had some other options for other than taf'il in babe taf'il. They also added taf'ilatun. Okay, so tazkiratun. If you see in your Surah Taha, in the very beginning, we may have talked about it. So this is just like that. There is rule number two applied here, where the two sakins were preceded by the two identical were mutaharik, and they were preceded by a sahi sakin. Therefore there was first a nakal and then idgham. Is this clear to all of you? Alhamdulillah. So what about the rest of the sisters? Shaheen, Rabiha, are you all with me? Alhamdulillah. So so let's just see the other one. Hamimun. If I have to give you Hamimun, is there any application of a rule? No, there is no application here. You are right. There is no application. In case of uh, Kharra, in case of Kharra, what do you see? There is a application of rule number one. In case of Kharru, again, there is an application of rule number one. Okay. In case of, let's see here. Okay. In case of yahiru, yahiru, what rule is being applied here? Rule number two got applied, right? Kharru, kharru, rule number one, hararu, just like nasaru, two identical, both mutaharik, preceded by mutaharik, rule number one, right? In case of here, that was easy. Okay, so this one, تخطه, تخطه. Rule number two got applied. Family, give me the family now. Now that you're so smart, and Alhamdulillah. So rule number two got applied, and here this bab is this family two or this is family one? Think about it. Your Alamatul Mudare does not have a Dhamma, cannot be family 2, right? When your Alamatul Mudare does not have Dhamma, it cannot be family number 2, it's going to be family 1. And now when you have a Dhamma, in case of a Nakal, you have to think about Bab Nasara. Is this clear to all of you? Right? It is Bab Noon or Bab Nasara because here your the nakal your ta was madmoom. The first ta was madmooma, and however, because there were two identical, both mutaharik preceded by sakin, so and that was sakin sahi. So therefore, the first ta gave away its haraka to kha and got merged into the second ta, right? Yes, it was takhtutu. Good job. Very good job. There was another one here. Dalla. Which rule got applied? Dalla. Rule number one got applied. Dalala. Right? Dalala. Yukhaffafu. Yukhaffafu. It is family too. And in which other family you don't see application of a rule? In Shaddas, in 2 and 5, the Shadda families do not have application of a rule, right? In case of Takhfif, again, there is no application of a rule. Now comes Khaffat. وَمَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا. So this is Khaffat. Which rule got applied? Rule number one, khafafat. Khafafat was the original form. However, it became khaffat, right? Um, Again, khaffafa. There is any application? No application. Khifafan, khifafan, no rule being applied, right? Right? No rule is being applied because why not apply? Why there is no application of a rule? Because what could be the reason? Because of the distance, because they are not together. Very good job. Very good job, Sister Zarina. So here, تستخفون. تستخفون. Which rule got applied here? So there is an application of rule number 2 in here in a word from family number 10. Rule 2 got applied. So it was like tastaghfiru, tastaghfifu, tastaghfifu. But there was a transfer, there was a naqal, and then there was an idgham. Um, I think the other words were um, very similar. In here, in here, this word fastakhaffa. What is happening in the word fastakhaffa? Like istaghfara, istaghfara. So there is istaghfara, just like istaghfara. So there is application of the rule number 2, right? Now akhilla, akhillau. Which rule got applied here? Rule number 2, and this is a plural, which is a broken plural. You notice here, it is, what is the singular for this one? Can somebody give me a singular for this one? Khalil. Yeah, it is right there, right? Alhamdulillah. So, um, hmm. So again, the la, there is which rule being applied? Dalala, like Nasara. So rule number 1 is applied. I hope this one, the rest is easy for you. I think the rest I'm, just, trying to see if there is anyone that we need to do together. I think they should be super duper easy for you, right? How many of you are able to, will be able to do the rest of the practice on their own? Everyone? Okay, so this one, Ruddu, Ruddu. Can somebody just quickly tell me this one? This is Majhul. It was Rudidu. It was Rudidu. And here, which rule being applied? It is rule number 1, right? Ruddat, Ruddat. Again the same thing. Remember that, okay? Just I'm just do not want to skip anything here, but I think it's going to be too much of your time taken away from the next topic. Maradda, just real quick, maradda, uh, because there was a purpose I had it here. Maradda is 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 family 1. A rule applied here. It is the pattern is maf'alun. Rule number 2 got applied. Remember, if you are calling it masdar, maf'alun, what is the name of this particular masdar that you have learned? And I've taught you that in your basic surf. It is masdar mimi. The masdar mimi, and we have gone over it in our surah practices as well, where I have taught you that remember, if you have a masdar starting with meme, which spells the same as your ism zarf, this masdar is going to be called masdar mimi, right? Do not forget that. I think this one should be, again, I would like to go over this one, radi. So this one, Faiza, don't write the siga for that. What is the siga of this word? What is the siga of this word? Yes, the rule number 3 is applied here, and we know if there are two identical, the two mutamathilain that are mutaharik, preceded by a mad letter, there is only going to be a loss of a haraka from the from the first identical, and it will get merged without any nakal. So it's going to be rule number 3. The pattern of this word is fa'ilun. Fa'ilun. How many of you have memorized the table for your mudaf? The table like radda, yurudu, and stuff like that. How we go in raddan fahuwa radun. How many of you know by heart these tables? Alhamdulillah, Sister Faiza has done so. Yes, it has to be, yes, you have to write it down and then memorize it by heart. Very good job, Diba and Diruba. Very good job. So, yes, it is very important that you memorize them by heart. Now you have understood how this work. Now it's the only thing that you need to do is that you just need to memorize your tables by heart. Okay. Um, then I have here this word nukiru. Nukiru. Is there any mudaf here? Yes, it is mudaf, and rule number two is applied, and this is again your family four, right? It is your fail mudare from family number four. Hmm. So the only thing that my dear students that is left is it's going to be now effort on your part where you have to memorize these tables. Okay, so make sure you memorize these tables by heart that have been shared with you. If not, just remind me. I'm going to share them with you so that you know, and then you can use different root letters and keep on practicing them on your on your notebook, so until the time that you know each and every table by heart, just like you did with big families and your regular surf. You're going to do it with mudaf as well. Okay, so is it a good time to move to the next topic now that we have covered most of that? Alhamdulillah. So now Ajwaf is easy. As I mentioned in the beginning of the session, you all should know which fail is going to be called ajwaf. What is ajwaf? Hollow fail. Hollow fail. It has a cavity. Ajwaf means cavity, hollowness. Why we call it a hollow fail? Because the middle letter is a weak letter. Middle letter is a weak letter. So it's the middle letter is either, what are the possibilities in case of ajwaf? What will be the middle root letter in ajwaf? There are only two possibilities, waw and ya. Can alif be ever a root letter? Can you ever have an alif as your root letter? No, that is not possible. That is not possible. Remember, alif can never be your root letter, right? So your weak letters are only three, alif, waw, ya. In ajwaf, there are two types of ajwaf. Ajwaf wawi, when your middle letter is waw, like in word qala yakulu. Ajwaf yai, if your middle letter is a ya. Everyone got it? Alhamdulillah. So this is clear to all of you. Ajwaf wawi, ajwaf yai, right? Then in case of abwab sulasi al mujarrad, where does your ajwaf come from? Ajwaf that you are going to find in Quran, it's going to mainly come from three clans of Sulasi Mujarrad, and those clans are again the same as Mudaf. Very good job. Yeah, because these are the most common ones. Remember we were learning our family one, the regular family one, the Sahih Salim Af'al. When we were learning our Sahih Salim, we said at that time that most of the Af'al are going to be from Nasara, Daraba, and Samia. Okay, so keep that in mind. One set of root letter comes from Karuma, which is Ta, Waw, and Lam. Okay, so for those of you who want to teach Ajwaf to the rest of the world, inshallah, remember that there's one set of root letters that comes from Bab Karuma. But if a book says that your Ajwaf comes from three clans of Sulasi al Mujarrad, and those are Nasara, Daraba, Samia, is there any problem with that? No, there should not be a problem, because if there is only one set of root letter that comes from Karuma, it should not overwhelm us by any means. Are you all with me? So when you have your Bab Nasara and you have your Ajwaf coming from Bab Nasara, you will find Qala Yakulu, and you have in Quran filled with this sigha, right? These root letters. Qala Yakulu. How many times do we see Qala Yakulu in Quran? So many times. So many times, right? We see it all the time. In case of Bab Daraba, you have root letters Ba, Ya, Ain. So Ba'a Yabi'u is something that comes from Bab Daraba. In case of Bab Sin, you will see Khafa Yakhafu. Khafa Yakhafu. That is going to come from Bab Sin. Is this clear to all of you? Are you all with me? And when I said your tala yatulu, your tala yatulu is going to be from Bab Karuma. Bab Karuma. What is the meaning of tala? Can anyone tell me? Tala has to do with the length, to be tall, right? To be tall, to be tall. So, can you differentiate between qala yakulu or tala yatulu? There is no way you can, there's no way you will be able to tell the difference, right? So there's no way you are going to tell the difference. So keep that in mind that this your ajwaf how is going to be mainly from the three above. And this is basically you what you need to know in here. Okay. um okay, so okay, so everyone with me so far? Easy? You know which bab you are going to see. So let's just now review something. So, do you all remember Elal bil qalb, Elal bil hazf, Elal bil taskeen, and taskeen wa naql harkatuhu ila ma qablahu? Taskeen and Nakal. You all remember? And for those of you who have been in my group, in my word to word group, we practice it very often, right? So, if I show you, let's just, make rule number one. Okay. So, let's just, now put them into numbers. Let's put the rules into numbers. And we'll just, because now we are going to essentially only talk about Elal, right? In case of Mud'af, were we talking about Elal? Was there anything to do with Elal? For the most part, no. We just were talking about Sahih words, right? Because it lies on the right side, right? There was no change, right? There was no change of a weak letter, so we did not need to worry about it. So we had just learned the five rules of Mudaf, and here we go, right? But in case of Ajwaf, now the practice that we have done in the beginning of our advanced serve is going to come in handy. Now we are going to apply all that we have learned in this in here. Okay. So rule number one, ilal bil qalb. I want you to know, in case of your ajwaf, your rule number one is going to be when waw and ya are voweled in your fail madin. Okay. Are when waw and ya are voweled mutaharrik past tense in past tense, and the letter before them, when they are vowel in your past tense, in the past tense, and in case of your in form 1, or actually in past tense, what is going to happen? Okay, actually let me just bring the just let's just keep it like that. Okay, when waw and ya are voweled and the letter before them has a fatha, they change into alif. They change into alif. So kana originally was what? Kawana. What are the root letters of kana? Kaf, Waw, Noon. Ba'a originally was Baya'a. Ada actually was Awada. Khafa was Khavifa. So what happened? What happened to your vows and yas? Because the letter before had a fatha, they simply waw and ya got changed into an alif. And this change of waw and ya into an alif is ilal bil qalb. And this is going to be our rule number one. Everyone with me so far? Alhamdulillah. However, you have on my slide this call out where Sayyida, Avira. What do you think are these words coming from? Sayyida means to have a crooked neck. Avira means to be one eyed. It has to do with body defects, and you have learned that your body defects fall in your Samia clan, right? In case of family one, when we are talking about family one, starting from family one, your your body defects are going to be covered under, mostly they are going to come from your Samia clan. So here, what do you see? Ya and Waw are preceded by a fatha on a letter before. Are you noticing any qalb? Do you see any change? There is no change. So this is an exception to the rule. Will you all remember this? That anywhere, anywhere in your ajwaf, if your Waw and Ya are preceded by a fatha, they are going to change into alif in your past tense. But if the fail denotes a body defect or a color, the Waw and Ya will remain unchanged. Okay? Got it? Alhamdulillah. So this is what is going to work for your qala, khafa, ba'a, nala. Okay? Now comes your rule number 2. Which rule is going to be now shown to you? There is rule number 2. Okay? So in rule number 2, what is going to happen is, in rule number 2, if ya and waw are voweled, either they are madmoom or maksoor, and the letter before is sahi sakina, they give their haraka to the letter before. So what is happening now? That ya and waw are voweled. However, the letter before was sakin, and it was sahi sakin. It was sahi sakin. So how are they behaving in here? Isn't it something like, there's a knuckle that happened, right? There's a knuckle that happened, and then they took upon themselves a sakin, right? They became, sakina, and they were generous to give their haraka to the letter before. Is this clear to all of you? Rule number 2. So your word yaqulu originally was yaqulu. Your word yazidu that you see in Quran was originally yazidu. Your word yazuru was yazuru. What are we seeing here? There was a waw and ya that was mutaharrik. However, it was preceded by sakin. Therefore, it gave away its haraka to the letter before. And this knuckle is happening. This knuckle with the skeen is happening. Knuckle ma'al taskeen is happening with waw and ya that were madmoom or maksoor. What does it mean? Madmoom means waw is carrying a dhamma or ya is carrying a dhamma. Ya will never carry a dhamma though. Or, they will dhamma kasra. Letters with dhamma kasra. Okay? Clear to all of you? So when they are maksoor and madmoom, they are going to give their haraka to the sahi sakin before. Then comes if waw and ya are now maftuh. There is waw and ya that are maftuha. What does it mean? That these are the waws and yas that are going to be carrying a fatha. Is it a possibility? Is it a possibility with ajwaf? Yes. Why so? Because your ajwaf can come from Samiya clan, right? It can come from Samiya clan, and in that case, the second root letter carries a fatha, right? Samiya yasma'u. Samiya yasma'u. In that case, the second root letter carries a fatha, so we need to learn that. Now your waw and ya, if they are coming from Sami'a clan, are they going to carry a fatha? But what happens now? And there is a sakin before it. For example, in word yakhwafu, yakhwafu. What happened? Is there a nakal? Is there a nakal? What do you think? Is there a nakal? Okay, there is a nakal. Now what happened? If there is a nakal, but after nakal, in case of rule number 3, because if it was just the skin, it would have not been a separate rule, right? In rule number 3, after nakal, there is an application of what? There is kalb as well, right? There is not only, yes, sister Shimi, you're right, that after, you have transferred the haraka to a letter before. Now, since your waw and ya are present before, after a letter carrying a fatha, there is going to be a qalb. Okay? Is this clear to all of you? How many of you are understanding this and are with me so far? Because if it was khafa ya khawfu, if it was khafa ya khawfu, it will be application, it will be mere application of rule number 2. But we did not do it like that, right? There will be just a mere application of rule number 2, but we don't say it like that. We don't say wow with lean. We say khafa ya khafu, right? We change wow into an alif. Since there is a change, you cannot skip calling it not just ilal bin nakal wal qalb. Now there is an application of rule of qalb, right? How many of you are with me? Is this clear to all of you? That rule number 2 is different from rule number 3. In rule number 2, there was nakal with taskeen, but in rule number 3, we are seeing nakal and qalb. Okay? I hope you're all with me so far. Alhamdulillah. Yes. There's a long process. Yes, there's a in the rule number 3, it is little longer. Yes, that it took upon itself a sakoon, but now that waw is preceded by a letter with a fatha. So you in this case you cannot call it rule number 1. It is separate. You have to keep it separate from rule number 1, because what was the condition in case of rule number 1? What was the condition in rule 1? All letters were with a haraka, right? Remember, in case of rule number 1, all the letters were mutaharik, right? If this was the first condition, right? When the waw and ya are voweled, which means they were mutaharik, and the letter before as a fatha, they change into an alif. But in case of this one, in the rule number 3, Waw and Ya were originally voweled, however, they did the nakal and then they became sakin, and then this is now that sakin waw got changed into alif. Clear to all of you? Alhamdulillah, and you are able to decipher the difference between what happened in 1, what happened in 2, and what happened in 3. I hope. So Nala is from um, family number, it is family 1. Nala is family 1 to reach. And what will be the mudare of Nala? How will you write it? It is from Samia clan. Nala, Yanalu, Yanalu, right? Nala, Yanalu. Again, there was Nakal and Qalb, right? Nala, Yanalu, Nakal, and Qalb, right? Rule number 3 got applied. So let me show you how this is going to work in our course here. So when I will show you Qala, which rule? It was Qawala. You are going to, when you see Qala, you are going to think about Qawala. Waw, mutaharik, preceded by a fatha, got changed into an alif, right? Yakulu, yakvulu. You first of all will think about yakvulu. When you will think about yakvulu, you will know that since waw was carrying a dhamma and the letter before was sakin, ya, a waw was generous enough to give its haraka to the letter before, and there is an application of rule number 2. Qawlan, any rule being applied? No rule being applied, right? Everyone so far with me? Okay. Now, I'm going to show you one more where there is an application of a similar rules. So it's going to be easy, and I hope you are able to tell me how this worked. So in case of maqalun, In case of maqalun, you have what was the original form? What was the original word? It was makwalun. Makwalun, right? It was makwalun. So makwalun became maqalun. There was, first of all, which ilal took place? Ilal bin naqal, right? Ilal bin naqal, right? And then when ilal, after the ilal bin naqal, Waw gave away its haraka to the Sahi Sakina before. Now the waw that is preceded by a fatha, it's going to get changed into an alif, and there is an application of rule number 3. In case of maqalatun, maqalatun, which was maf'alatun, maf'alatun, the same rule is going to be applied, right? Everyone with me so far? Okay. Now I'm going to give you another easy one first. We are going to cover our easy ones, and then we are going to, inshallah, go we are going to cover the whole table. We are going to apply every on every word. You are going to apply your rules, okay? And some will be without any solid rules, but still you are going to learn how you're going to go about them, okay? So let me show you this one. In word yuqalu, in word yuqalu, rule 1, 2, 3. Which do you think got applied? It was originally yuqwalu. Yuqwalu, right? So yuqwalu got changed into yuqalu with the application of rule number 3. So Ishrat, what happened first? Was there elal bin naqal? Yes or no? What do you think, everyone? There was number 1, naqal, and then there was a qalb, and qalb is the change of letter into, in change of the weak letter, changing of the, when the weak letter changes into something different, then it is going to be ilal bin bil qalb, right? The waw got changed into alif. So the rule number 3 got applied here. So um this is the basic theme here. So now we are going to go over the ones, the rule. We are going to look at the rules that we have already covered right now. Okay. So ba'a, which rule you are going to apply here? Rule number 1. Ba'a yabi'u. Ba'a yabi'u. So ba ya ain are the root letters. The word is coming from Daraba clan. The Daraba clan. This is coming from Daraba clan. And in case of yabi'u, you are seeing application of rule number 2. Rule number 2 in case of mudare. In case of bay'an, any rule? No rule applied. Yuba'u, yuba'u, which rule is going to be seen? You are going to find rule number 3 as you're all typing. Alhamdulillah. When you look at this word, mibya'un, midrabun, which rule is being applied? Is there any application of a rule? Mibya'un, miqwalun, anything being applied? No, there is nothing being applied, right? Right. So though the letter before was sakin, but there is no transfer that took place. There is no application here. Okay. Coming back to some zarf, maba'un, maba'atun. Which rule got applied? You will see rule number 3, right? Rule number 3 is going to be applied. Now, okay. In your khafa, what was the original form of khafa? Who can tell me? It is from Samia clan. It was, it has to do with fear, it has to do with emotions, right? So when a family, when the word root letters have to do with emotions, what do we see? What do we see? Where do those words come from mostly? Color, body defects, emotions, happiness, sadness, usually comes from Samia clan, like Fariha, right? Fariha, to be happy. Hazina, to be sad. So this family Samia has to do with emotions, body defects, and colors. Remember that, okay, inshallah. So khafa is khawifa because your mutaharik waw was preceded by a fatha, rule number one got applied. Okay. In word yakhafu, we just covered it. So everyone should be able to tell me that there is an application of rule number three. And I'm going to leave you here with this khafa yakhafu, and inshallah we are going to cover ajwaf in the upcoming session on Saturday, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear students. Take care.